Hello, I'm Bill Shields, and I've been an exclusive buyer's agent for 15 years. The concept of the buyer's agent was a much-needed addition to the real estate industry. In the past, a seller would list their home with a traditional real estate agent. The agent's job was to get the highest price for their home. A buyer wanting to see the home might have another agent show it to them. The agent was referred to as a sub-agent. The sub-agent would show the home to the buyer and gather information for the seller. Where do you work? When do you need to move? Do you love this home? The sub-agent was required by law to pass that information on to the listing agent. This gave the seller an advantage when it came to the negotiations. The buyer did not have an agent, even though our physical actions of driving you around and opening the doors for you at the homes indicated to you, the buyer, we were working for you. We were not. Picture a tennis match. The buyer on one side of the net and the seller's agent, and the sub-agent on the other side. Who has the advantage? Not the buyer. Is it fair? Of course not. The buyer has no representation. That's why national real estate laws were changed a number of years ago. When buying a home in Texas, you may find yourself the buyer without adequate representation. In some situations, you may end up with intermediary agency representation. Intermediary representation means that one agent is representing both parties in a transaction. Let's say you're driving around and see a house you like. You contact the listing agent and ask to see the home. That agent and his company already have a fiduciary responsibility to the seller to negotiate the highest price. Both parties have probably entered into a listing agreement. If you decide to make an offer on the home, the selling agent can help you, but will ask you to sign a document agreeing to intermediary representation. Texas real estate laws state that an intermediary representative is to treat all parties fairly and honestly. This makes it seem acceptable to have one agent representing both seller and buyer. However, the selling agent already has a business relationship and perhaps a personal relationship with the seller. Plus, how can an agent negotiate the highest price for the seller and the lowest price for the buyer? If you were involved in a lawsuit, would you want to be represented by the same attorney as your opposition? Of course not. In Texas, one law firm cannot represent the plaintiff and the defendant, but it's legal for one real estate agent to represent both parties in a transaction. We call this double dipping, the selling agent trying to capture both sides of the commission or fee for themselves. This is great for the agent, but terrible for you, the buyer. We believe the seller should have a seller's agent and the buyer should have an exclusive buyer's agent. As your exclusive buyer's agent, we will gather as much information as is available. How much did the seller pay for his or her home? How much did he or she borrow? How long has the home been on the market? How does the list price compare to similar homes in the neighborhood? Why is the seller moving? With this information, we can negotiate the lowest possible price for you and save you money. You'll never be alone on your side of the net.